Come join us as we take you on a trip from the practice pen to the show arena and let you listen in as top trainers prepare their students to compete in the Western industry's most exciting equine sport. And you'll learn what it takes to become a top weekend cutter.
Brought to you by Roger Peters Livestock Insurers.
You know, insurance is a daily part of our lives. We insure ourselves, we insure our trucks, we insure our trailers. Roger Peters Livestock Insurers is where you go. Roger Peters Livestock Insurers has been an agent for Great American Insurance for over 35 years. Remember, no vet checks up to $100,000, whether it's a private treaty sale or a catalog sale. Call Connie or Stacy at this number and get yourself some peace of mind and insure your performance horse with Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. The rural American lifestyle. It's how we work and it's how we play. It's how we learn and how we enjoy the finer things in life. How we take care of our animals and tend to the land. It's a way of life. Has been for hundreds of years. Now there's a whole new way for rural America to watch TV. Hey folks, welcome to the show this week. I'm Kenny Emai, your host of Cuttin Up. This week's episode is brought to you by Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. Remember, when you want peace of mind on your performance horse, it doesn't matter whether you paid $5,000 for that horse or $50,000. Remember, without insurance, whatever Mother Nature lays at your doorstep, you're going to have to swallow unless you get the peace of mind to call up Roger Peters Livestock Insurers, talk to Connie or Stacy. They've been an agent for Great American Insurance for over 35 years. That's what you want with an insurance company. Go to www.rogerpeterslivestock.ins. Connie or Stacy can take care of you. Now we're going to bring you part two as we visit with our legends. As I told you last week, Ms. Oradil started a Facebook page called NCHA Past Memories that lit up like a wildfire. It's got everybody jumping on board. It's all positive stuff, just great memories, walking down memory lanes, lots of photos, lots of old facts of cutters that is what made our sport great. Some of them are long gone. We've got here in the Cuttin Horse studio, I've had these photos around for years. Some of them are from the 50s and the 60s, and you know, I'd have to have somebody like Keith Barnett. He's come in here and he can almost look at one of these old pictures and tell you not only who the horse and rider are, but where the picture was taken and what year. He's got a mind like a steel trap. I call Keith my walking encyclopedia. But let's get right to it. We've talked to so many great legends of our sport over the years. We just couldn't bring it all to you in one episode. So here's part two as we visit with our legends.
It was my goal from the get-go, you know, once they had a Hall of Fame.
Right.
My number is 49, I think. So I feel honored to be in that group with that low number. Dick Jr., they owned a truck line in Sioux City. And John Ed Rogers, which was a top tenor back when, was working for Wilson Trailer in Sioux City. And he recognized this horse's abilities and paid us to haul him to Fargo. That's where the championship was, and we won it that year. And quite an accomplishment for a kid that had never ridden a cutting horse to talk about what little I've contributed to the business and to be surrounded by the people that I had the fortune of being with last night was a really enjoyable evening for me, and today's been just as enjoyable.
Donnie O'Brien, but we partnered and we went over to Tulsa. There was a boy over there training a horse. and we bought that horse, and we showed him a little bit, and then I sold him and got married, got some milk cows, and didn't do anything for 4 or 5 years, and finally I hung out my sign, went to breaking horses, and that's how I started breaking horses.
Well, that's almost as tough a business as training horses as milking cows, isn't it?
That was tougher. I didn't like it, so I didn't like it very well, so that's how I got started. So I went to breaking horses, and then, you know, it just sort of evolves, you know. You don't plan on it happen. Things just sort of happen in this business, and maybe the stars shine on you or something. Really, I think when it exploded, I got that Bandero horse, I called him, and he let me get out and go. I'd go to Kansas, and I'd go to Missouri, and I'd go down in Arkansas. You'd get down in Arkansas, and Jimmy Orrell would get your money, and you'd go to Kansas, and Jim Spencer would get your money. But anyway, I kept going. They let me win just enough to keep me encouraged to going.
You know, your family is a huge success in this sport. Tell me a little bit about how family has been tied into you with the sport of cutting.
I think, Kenny, the main thing is we're very close. There's hardly a week goes by that Jody doesn't call, or that a week that Gail doesn't call. I think the main thing is it keeps the families together. Maybe the very common deal of the horse deal, you know, but it keeps families together. And when it gets said and done, that's what it's all about.
And you've got the common bond.
The common bond of the horse. And the whole thing is about the horse.
Tell me how the horses have changed and evolved from then to now.
It's a completely different breed of horses than what we used to ride. Like I'm saying, that Bandero come out of a bucking string, but you didn't think anything about it. You just took those old cold-blooded horses and you started pulling them around in front of a cow, and every once you'd find one that would look at a cow. I think now that they're all cow bred, so probably the cream will rise to the crop, you know, but I don't think probably these boys can spend as much time on them as we had to on those old cold-blooded horses. I can't take much credit for it. It just sort of happened.
Miss Jerry, I know that you're actually the solid rock behind this whole family, and in a few words, tell us what has it been like raising all these boys, including John?
It was fun. It was fun. Work, but fun. In the summertime, it was like a summer camp. We had so many kids, and I might have ended up getting my bath at midnight. Yeah. But it was fun, and they were busy. They worked. Pike and Roy worked really hard as kids, and John enjoyed. He'd play marbles with them, or he'd play with them. Mm-hmm. But yeah. I'm very, very proud of him. Got great grandkids, great grandkids, and they're all a keeper. Yeah. They all smart and have abilities to do what they want to do.
Yep. That's the best thing ever happened to me.
Yep, I agree. I think everybody else does too.
I was out of a pretty bad bunch.
Yeah, you're pretty hot bred, wasn't you?
I sure was. When she went home and told them gonna get married, and they said, "Who to?" "John Carter. I hope it ain't Homer's boy." First thing she asked me, "What's your daddy's name?" I said, "Homer."
Staying around the house. And I kept telling them, I said, "Boys, if y'all don't close them doors, them buffalo could get in the house where it's cool." I'd told them that several times. I sent some buffalo heads to get them mounted, like this steer head, mm-hmm. and some ropes to be tamed. And the guy rings me, and he wants his money out of them buffalo heads, wants me to come right now and get them. So I get in the car, and I go to Abilene and get them. And I back the car up to the yard gate and raise the trunk and take the buffalo heads in the house. And in a little bit, I see Bill coming, rubbing sleep out of his eyes. He's coming from the bunkhouse. And I run and grab one of these buffalo heads, and I can watch Bill in that reflection. Well, as he starts in that door, I let that buffalo head run out a little. Boy, he whirls and leaves. And I put the buffalo head down, and I go out, and I say, Bill, them buffalo are in the house. He said, I saw one. And I said, listen, we had terrazzo floor.
Mm-hmm.
I said, they get that slick, slide around, and this furniture was in there. And he knew I thought a lot of it, you know. And I said, they'll wreck that furniture. And so I said, if you'll move that car, I'll go back in there and see if I can get the other side of it. And then when you come in, you go to the other side, and we'll try just to drift them out this door without scaring them. So he comes tiptoeing back out, and just as he gets in the door, I run that buffalo head out. Boy, he whirled away. And he got on that, and he'd crawl to that window and peek through it, and I'd stay outside. He'd start in that door. Finally, I let him come down that hall about halfway, and I run that buffalo head out toward him. He whirled, leaving there, running so hard, and I've run him a little ways. He didn't look back. I bet he run 100 feet up that road or further. He said, you know, it's amazing what your imagination can do. Said, I felt that buffalo breathing on my back. He said it was hot.
Well, I hope you're enjoying all the great stories from some of our more colorful characters in Cutting Horse and the NCHA History Archives. Now let's go hear a word from our sponsors.
We've been feeding bluebonnet feed for the last 4 to 5 years. A lot of the reasons why we started feeding bluebonnet feeds is we were looking for a consistent product that was very, very high quality. I'm in a performance horse industry where the conditioning of the hair coat, tone, and structure is very, very important. I feel like bluebonnet provides that. 3 things that made us move to bluebonnet: quality, consistency of the feed, and the customer service of it.
The rural American lifestyle. It's how we work, and it's how we play. It's how we learn and how we enjoy the finer things in life. How we take care of our animals and tend to the land. It's a way of life. Has been for hundreds of years. Now there's a whole new way for rural America to watch TV. Hey folks, welcome back. Now let's listen to Miss Jimmy Nichols. She's got a great Horse Health Today segment brought to you by Bluebonnet Feeds.
A question that comes in often is centered around B vitamins for a horse. Now, many horse owners are familiar with the B vitamin called biotin. Biotin is really important for hoof integrity and hoof wall structure. It is also very important for the coat quality and the mane and tail quality. Now, B vitamins go a lot farther than just biotin. There's this whole complex of B vitamins. You may be familiar with folic acid, which is commonly recommended for women who are of childbearing age. Maybe you've heard of vitamin B12, B1, B2. These are all vitamins that Bluebonnet Feeds incorporates into our horse feeds. Now, I'm going to throw a little twist in things, and I'm going to tell you that horses can make their own B vitamins via the hindgut fermentation. So if horses can make their own B vitamins, again, why would we want to include B vitamins into the diet? Well, let's think about how the horse's digestive system operates. If you'll walk through it with me, let's start at the mouth. The horse eats food at the mouth. It goes down the esophagus and into the stomach. Okay, the stomach is where we get some initial breakdown. We move then into the small intestine. The small intestine is where the majority of nutrient absorption occurs. After the small intestine, we move into the hindgut, so the cecum, large colon, small colon. This hindgut portion is where the B vitamins are manufactured by the microbes. Well, after the hindgut, you move right out the back end and onto the ground in the manure. The digesta cannot move in the opposite direction. So if we know that all of the nutrient absorption happens in the small intestine, and the majority of the B vitamins are produced in the hindgut, all of those B vitamins are actually ending up on the ground behind the horse. Now, if you think about the way that a horse evolved, that's actually pretty good design, because horses are designed to practice copophagy, which is a fancy word for eating their own poop. The modern horse doesn't have the opportunity to eat their own manure. We, of course, clean their stalls, and if anybody sees a horse eating their manure, we kind of get upset about it. So basically, we've taken away that horse's opportunity to consume those B vitamins and get them absorbed in the small intestine. Now, we're not encouraging horses to eat their own poop, so we add B vitamins into the feed so that they are there and available the first time that the horse eats the feed and can be absorbed at the small intestine. Thank you for joining us at Horse Health Today.
Thank you, Miss Jimmy. It's always great to hear your Horse Health Today segments brought to us by Bluebonnet Feeds. Now let's get back to listening to some of our historical figures within our sport. That you've done some things in this industry that nobody's done. I'd venture to say that there's not anybody else in this industry that's had a top 10 horse spanning over 6 decades.
Well, I was lucky enough they didn't give me much odds that I'd live past 30, so I beat the odds if nothing else.
Well, we're glad that you're still here and we can get to sit and visit with you and talk about some of these horses you've had. You kind of started cutting in the late 50s, and I know that I've got to sit down and look at some of the pictures with you of different horses, and I guess the first one would be about 1959, a horse named Redwine.
Yeah, that horse belonged to a good friend of ours named L.H. Turner, and it was actually the first show horse that I got to ride. I mean, you know, we'd cut cattle, did this, that, and other, and cowboyed all over the world, but this was a good show horse, and L.H. got me to ride this horse, and he taught me a lot. He was a good pony.
How old were you when you was riding Redwine?
Oh, I think I was 16 or 17.
That's amazing, and it's just, and before that, you were showing, you know, some reining horses, some halter horses. So you started at a young age messing with these horses.
Well, I did. I was born and raised up in a rodeo family. My dad, he roped and bulldog, was quite all around hand, won Madison Square Garden, and he run the Mesquite Rodeo for Neil Gay and Jim Shoulders for 25 years, I guess. So I picked up for Neil and Jim over a long span, and rodeoed myself. I roped and bulldogged myself, and I got to riding reining horses, and then we spent some time, when I was a kid, Matlock had a place close to us, Matlock Rose, and they'd come to Dad's place and they'd rope, and we'd go over to their place, out of G.B. Howell's place, and cut a little with them, and just sort of got the bug, you know.
Well, you were born pretty close to where I live now in Crescent, Texas. I live in Cleburne. It's maybe
not far,
15 miles away.
Yeah, Dad was working for Vonley Hildreth, which was one of the founding members of the NCHA at that time. He was running a ranch there at Crescent, and that's where I was born. And there were a lot of famous cutters that come from that area, George Glasscock and Jim Calhoun and H. Calhoun. They were all friends and acquaintances and people that I admired when I was young. A good horse is a good horse no matter what time, but we just don't have the volume of them that back then that we do now.
Well, my mentor and best friend, of course, was Shorty Freeman, you know, and a teacher he was not. In fact, if he had people he was working with, you dare not ask him a question. He'd just give you that dart, you know. That meant shut up, you know. But riding these horses and things and watching him, you know, you could learn a lot of things from him. Matlock Rhodes, who everybody calls Stoneface, one of the greatest hosts. I went to his place during the stock shows, had a big snowstorm. He went down while I'm working horses at his place, his horses, because I wouldn't stay unless they'd let me work. He goes down and gathers my whole family up, takes them into his house. Stayed there for a week, you know. Things that nobody knows about them type of people. Buster Welch, of course, great communicator, best ambassador this sport's ever seen, you know. We were great friends, rode a few horses for Buster. Learned a lot of the hows from Shorty. And then when I rode a few horses for Buster, he called me up to show for him. Then I got the whys, because Buster, he was a great communicator. So, you know, and then being around great showmen like the Bush boys, Jimmy Bush, my dear friend, J.T. Fisher, Pat Patterson, you know, and just a wonderful time to come through this program, you know, this cutting experience. And gathering a little bit something from each one of those guys to try to develop a Leon Harrell, you know, and putting that all together, and the horses, you know, the opportunity that these horses have provided for me. No kid from Leedy, Oklahoma, you know, 1,300 people on the Canadian River up there, to be able to go and be with these kind of people and achieve the goals that I wanted in my life, and to meet people all over the world, and then have the opportunity to get into this teaching deal. I've been teaching for 40 years. A lot of people don't know that, but that was always a love of mine, teaching, you know. So I tried to turn it into sort of a science, you know, and try to dissect a lot of these things so that you can not just show these people how, but tell them why they should do these things and what the results will be if they practice these things.
And here at the Southern Fraternity in Jackson, Mississippi, is a big family tradition. We've got kids, and I grew up and seen 5 or 6 different generations of kids that came around these arenas, even when we were outside cutting in the rain and the mud, and you know, you've just seen them grow up. You know, little Austin Shepherd, he run around here, a little old kid, and following his dad, Sam, and his mother, and grew up running up and down stairs and barefooted and in the mud holes. And, you know, Austin's grew up to be a very successful horse trainer. And there's a lot of them in the same way. You know, you got Brent Davis here that grew up in the horse business. You know, Alan Krautz, Alan come to Mississippi when he was just a little feller, young man, and grew up here in the South. And a lot of these young men come along, and they had a hard time back in the years when us older ones were showing back in the 60s and 70s, and they kept saying one day they'd get us back, you know, and they did. They really did. And these kids now are grown and got families, and their kids are showing, their grandkids are showing, and that's one thing has made the Southern Cutting Horse successful. And right here today, I visited with grandparents that's here to see their grandkids show, to see their nieces, nephews show, and it's just a family tradition that that has been put together over the years, and everybody just expects to come every year, and they come back every year with a new generation of kids and grandparents and uncles and aunts, and you know, it's just been a growing cutting in the South.
Hi, I'm Gary Walker. We'll be right back after these messages on Cuttin Up TV.
Hey everybody, Kenny Emai, Business Development Manager for Farm and Ranch TV. Now available, Roku, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Android TV, our website, farmandranch.tv. soon to be available by this Christmas 2017 on all your tablets and smartphones, Apple, Android, doesn't matter. You'll be able to see us any way you want. Farm and Ranch TV, the future of rural programming.
Smells like he's our hero. We will never forget his great smelling hair.
Well, that's it for our show this week. I hope you enjoyed both of these parts, visiting with our legends and the colorful characters of our sport and cutting in general. And big thank you to Miss Ora Deal. That Facebook page, NCHA Past Memories, has been a lot of fun. It's really brought a lot of people together, all positive stuff. You can just feel all the people smiling as they're posting and reading all those comments. Keep up the great work, Miss Ora. I want to say a big thank you to Roger Peters Livestock Insurers. Remember, no vet checks up to $100,000 in value on your performance horse. They've been doing this with Great American Insurance for over 35 years. Get you some peace of mind. It doesn't matter if you pay $5,000 or $50,000 for your horse. Roger Peters can take care of you and get you the peace of mind so you're prepared no matter what Mother Nature lays on your doorstep. Remember, Roger Peters Livestock, INS.com. Be sure and join us right here next week. We'll be right here cutting up.
The cutting horse dance. Left, right, let's dance. Let's dance. Dance, dance, cutting horse dance. To the left, to the right, cutting horse dance. Bounce, bounce, the cutting horse dance. Left, right, let's do it again.
Be sure and go to Cuttin Up TV's Facebook page and like us.